Hi friends, welcome to another little reading slash channeled guidance message session. I'm gonna have to figure out vocabulary that works for me because I feel a little cringy using those terms, but I think that's because I haven't fully landed in my own definitions and relationship with that language, because I'm very particular about language, if you know me, because I really want to convey what I mean and what I feel, and I want to present that. But for the sake of just being general for now, this is a channeled message. So I woke up hearing and feeling a couple things, and I think I kind of explained this before, but when I channel, I'm literally listening to what I feel and what I notice and what I see. And one thing that might be worth just throwing in here is, as a woman, throughout the month, as my hormones shift and change, it affects my internal state. And a lot of the time, the quality of the energy or the messages that I channel, or even the lessons that I'm learning, so to speak, they change depending on what my hormones are doing. So if you're watching this and you're a woman, or you're going through fluctuations or whatever, or even, I don't know so much about men and hormonal cycles and whatnot, or, the flux of their inner worlds and kind of what affects that. But I just felt like that was something worth noting. But anyway, I am basically entering into my follicular phase, which means my menstrual cycle is over. Sorry if this is TMI for some people, but it's relevant in my opinion, and really cool to learn about and connect with. So that's why I'm sharing it. But as I enter my follicular phase, the amount of hope and inspiration and energy and drive and motivation that I feel just goes up so much. And it's incredible the depth at which these emotions can fluctuate based off of what my hormones are doing at any given point throughout my womanly cycle. So there's that. And I made a couple of notes on a piece of paper, so I'm going to try my best to parse these apart. So like I said, when I channel messages, I'm essentially observing my inner world, and I love listening. I love listening to my feelings. I love observing my thoughts. I love asking questions. And when I'm going through a challenging time in life, or a time in life that feels unclear, or a period of time where I'm looking for certain answers that I might not yet be getting, but I'm kind of in that liminal space, my general approach is to just ask the question and then listen to what I hear intuitively. Even if it doesn't make sense to me, it's a practice that I've been doing for years. And I don't know if anyone watching this has a practice of journaling or meditating, where you're basically spending time observing your thoughts and inquiring and being curious maybe, and noticing what comes and noticing how it feels, how certain answers feel in your body versus how other answers feel in your body. It's like you might be asking a question or sending out a prayer, and you hear an answer and maybe it doesn't make sense, but it just feels clear. It sits right. It feels like it fits. I don't know if anyone else has this experience, but this is certainly my experience. And then other times, I might have a thought that interrupts that process and creates some tension in my body. And to me, that's kind of a sign and a way that I discern what is the voice of my intuition and the truth, and that place within me where I can access peace and security and connection and all that good stuff, versus operating from a blocked, maybe egotistical kind of vantage point. So anyway, the message that kept coming through to encapsulate everything I wanted to share was Dare to imagine. Go for what you want. So in the middle of the night last night, I think it's because I ate a cheeseburger and a milkshake, and eating not the greatest doesn't impact my sleep very positively. And that, and a combination of other things that I'm working through. I had a dream, and in my dream, I was remembering something that happened to me. Basically, I was almost trafficked, and that's a story for another time. If you know me, you know that's a part of my life. It was in 2017. And yeah, I gotta put out the full story at some point. And I've told it at times here and there, but I want just like a documented, solid version. So I had a dream last night of that memory. And in my dream, there was myself and like 4 other women in a group with me. And then there was like 2 or 3 men in a group. And each person was playing a different role. And it was so confusing. And in my dream, it was so confusing and the energy was so discombobulated. And I started to like scream and make this sound that sounded like a demon. It was really freaky. But behind that sound, there was so many different layers of emotion and energy. And I can't even begin to name them. I mean, everything from like terror to like comedy. And it was just all happening at once, and it all came out in this very bizarre, like unearthly noise. And I woke up from that with kind of a quick heart and recognizing that, oh, that's my subconscious trying to unravel all these different aspects of itself to process this thing. And a lot of the times in dreams, that's what's happening. It's our subconscious purging and unraveling through this visual, sensorial show, this picture. And I recognized that's what was happening as soon as I woke up and with my quick heart. And I was like, okay, that made me feel a sense of peace, because I was like, my subconscious is just doing what it's supposed to be doing, and I can just relax. And then when I woke up, I don't know if anybody else has had this experience, but when you dream, dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, is released from your brain, I think from your pineal gland. I could be wrong, or pituitary. I'm not sure. I think it's pineal. You can look that one up. But because DMT is released from your brain, that's what enables you to watch these psychedelic pictures of your dreams and have these experiences that sometimes feel so real. That's a whole deep dive for another time. That's just making me think, honestly, and get really curious about why some dreams feel more real than other dreams, but that's a tangent. So when I woke up from this dream, my eyes were closed and I was seeing these faces just come into sight and go away, and come into sight and go away. And it was as visibly tangible as me looking into my phone camera right now and seeing my face. And in this, when I woke up and I was seeing these images, this has happened so many times in my life that it's normal. So maybe this will offer some perspective to people who have experienced this and don't understand what it is or whatever. But I was just observing my mind just showing me these faces and making up these images, like just creating these spontaneous images of all these faces. And the style per se, like I'm imagining my brain as an artist creating its own imagery and choosing its color palette and choosing its mediums and choosing the textures that it wants to express itself through and choosing the way it animates, the speed, the dynamics of what is being created in my mind. And just watching that is trippy. It's really, really cool. So, and for someone watching this wondering, no, I don't do psychoactive drugs. I don't do them. I have had a couple of experiences in my life, but no, I don't need them. Anyway, so I was watching this display, and it's so visceral, it's so real, because it is a legitimate sensory experience, but it's happening completely internally. I'm not seeing these forms like outside and having a physical manifestation to touch and hold. I'm experiencing them inside. So in the middle of the night, when I woke up and I was seeing these things, I asked my mind, I brought to mind the name of a person that a part of me has been fixated on, and they're really just a person from my past. And there's a part of my mind that was just fixated and couldn't move on. So I automatically was saying that name and trying to see that person's face, and I didn't see that person's face. So I went back to sleep eventually, and then I woke up again, and I realized there was this message coming through about how I woke up in the middle of the night and started saying this name and trying to recreate this like phantom energy from the past, reconnect with this aspect, with this quality, with this thing that person, that memory evoked in me. And I started hearing, I just was like chewing on this and like trying to understand, like, what is the power in this? What is the purpose in this? Why am I experiencing this? Why is this happening? And what am I trying to get out of it? Because by asking that question, I can actually figure out where to put and plant my energy and where to tap my roots into to draw the nutrients I need, instead of dwelling on the past. Like, the past can be useful to connect with for a lot of reasons, because the past holds, parts of ourselves. And of course we want to be connected. So we connect, we link to the past. And when that is no longer serving us, and when the past can no longer give us what we need, and sometimes our past experiences reveal aspects of ourselves, and when the past dies and changes and shows us what it really is, and we're able to separate and keep moving forward and use that information about ourselves, what we discovered about ourselves, to go create the lives we want, in that liminal space of change, these almost phantoms of past aspects of ourselves will just come up. And sometimes, in my experience, they will suck my power, and they will trigger thoughts that trigger really bad feelings of like resentment and hatred and sorrow and like all these things. So it's like, okay, it's okay to feel the feelings, like allow the feelings, but don't attach to them per se. What I'm trying to say is to find the balance and to discern the difference between what about hanging out in this energy of the past is serving what you need right now, or what a part of you is trying to achieve, and what about it is not. And how can we literally filter the good stuff from the bad stuff? It's a very generic way of putting it, I think. So that happened, and I was trying to understand, and then I got this message, which is why I'm making this video. And the message was, dare to imagine, go for what you want. And what was revealed to me, the very first bit of wisdom that was revealed to me through this experience of recalling this name in my sleep, and then feeling this like, oh, there's nothing there anymore, it's gone, it's dead, it's the past. And also this longing for the parts of that experience that awakened something in me. I was revealed that my mind and my spirit and even my ego, like, they are all such a dynamic team of beings, or of, it might sound a little weird, like calling different aspects of myself like beings, but they are aspects of the self, of the human, of this experience that I'm having through this body. Beyond my identity, they are functions, they are like metaphysical like processes that every human being has. I think, I would like to assume, the ego, the spirit, the mind, the soul, like all these different containers for the soul to express itself through, work together in such a dynamic way. And sometimes when we have moments where we're triggered or where we're stuck on the past, like I was when I woke up from that dream, I think it's an opportunity, and this is my lesson, and I'm just sharing it with you. It's an opportunity to understand more deeply the way that the mind, the body, the soul, the ego all work, let alone how they all work in harmony, and the power that all of those functions have to create an experience that is designed to try to bring our souls more close to what our souls long for. You see what I'm saying? So this is just my perspective to dumb it down, you know. If you're resonating with this, then you get it, and great. But yeah, it's they're pretty lofty concepts to explain, and there's really no way to understand them without experiencing them in your own way. And these are just my language, the language terminology that I like to use to explain my experience. And I'm coming from a very like lofty perspective, I guess, from a very spiritual perspective, I guess. Anyway, yeah, I was just in awe of how powerful my own mind, body, soul, ego was, enough to, first of all, produce that insane imagery with a chemical in my brain at night so I could see projections of my own subconscious in a way that makes sense to my human mind that experiences the earth through senses. It's just like unfathomable to me, that the wisdom and the beauty and the immaculate intelligence in the design of nature. It's ridiculous. It's literally ridiculous. But I was seeing all this, and I was taking a shower, and this message, I was thinking, like, how can I encapsulate this and share it in a video? Like, how can I communicate this? And dare to imagine, go for what you want. That was what came through. And there's more beneath that mantra that I want to get into. But given this revelation of the power of our psyches and our souls and our bodies and our minds, like, that was a message for me to save me from being discouraged. Because a lot of the time, repeating past cycles and going back in time to something that died and didn't work and has already changed, going back in time is like, it's like kind of like a life sap, you know? It's a trick. It's a trick of the mind. And the capacity to grow, I think, lies in the willingness and the ability to put oneself in novel experiences, and to literally exercise new neural pathways in the brain to create new habits and manifest new results. And to be able to let go and grieve the past and be okay in that liminal space, because a lot of the time another major message here that I want to say is, in that liminal space in life when we're moving from one thing, the past, it's dead and gone, it's the past, moving from the past through this present moment into our vision for a more integral, aligned expression of our soul, of our heart. Being in that liminal space is where the ego is going to flare up, and it's going to do its due diligence to serve you, to protect you, to prevent you from discomfort, from pain. So what is it going to do? It's just the first thing that happens is to latch on to familiarity, to comfort. And that's when past memories and these thoughts of things that you probably got over a long time ago, they come back up. And this is how I experience them. This is my perspective. They come up and they grab my heart, they grab my feelings, and they drain my energy, they drain my vitality for just a little bit. And they trigger these feelings, these negative feelings that are so egotistical and so rooted in self-protection and not rooted in understanding and love and acceptance. And because that's what my ego is designed for. And every human being has an ego that's purpose is to protect themselves. And that's why we have negative thoughts. That is why one negative comment on your Instagram post is gonna weigh so much more heavy on your mind than the 100 positive comments. Why? Because our neurobiology is wired. Our egos are wired. Okay, if you're like a scientist or someone who is like very, very well versed in this, like, please challenge me, because my technical like explanation of this might not be so exact, but I feel like the point I'm trying to make is pretty clear. Like, the ego and the mind and the brain is kind of designed to latch onto the negative, because once upon a time, that is how we survived as a human species. Like, we needed to look for fear when we lived in caves, and we had to be vigilant, and if we heard a sound, we had to make sure that it wasn't a wild animal that was gonna hunt us and eat us, and we had to rely on our tribe, and so we're designed to latch onto the negative. So like, when you're going through this through change and everything in your past is dying, I'm smiling because the negative thoughts and the memories that resurface to try to pull you back down into the comfort of being angry at what happened, because it's familiar. It's familiar to hold on to the past. It's familiar to hold on to a feeling. And it's your subconscious trying to work out this thing that didn't work when there's nothing to work out per se. Like, especially if you're, doing your work, if you're taking accountability for your reality, then you're already doing it. And so sometimes when your subconscious brings these memories and these habits and these patterns up and tries to drag you into these, negative feelings, it's like, okay, it's appropriate to address them and to bring them to your therapy session, for example. But there's a point where it's not always necessary to even entertain those thoughts, because it's just a matter, it's like once you've kind of reoriented your perspective, your values, your understanding of a situation, you've reframed it. It's like you have that now as an anchor to understand this experience through. And when your ego flares up and it tries to twist things and create negativity and create pain, it's like, what is that serving you for? What is it going to do? I don't know. And that's a question you can maybe ask yourself. But that's just what I was wondering, because I'm like, I don't want to hold on to negative feelings. Like, I want to be free. I have been through this cycle so many times where I go through a relationship, a circumstance, an experience in my life, and there's some pain, but there's forgiveness, and there's a lesson learned, and there's kindness, and there's so much love there. So how come after all of that love and goodness, later on, as I'm moving and actually releasing the little boat of that experience into the water of the past, the river of life, how come, despite all of that love and kindness and the attempt to let go, the negativity comes back and haunts me and makes me think like, oh, am I really done processing this here? But you know what? I think another thing is that when those memories come back up, there is something about understanding, like I've been saying this whole time, understanding the subconscious motive for these, beneath these memories. And oftentimes, a painful memory will be spontaneously brought up in our minds when an aspect of ourself is in need of something. And a lot of the time, the negativity is created in our ego, because that negativity is trying to eliminate what it remembers as being the cock block, so to speak, between what it needs and what the situation was, or what it thinks it needs. And then this is so complex to really put into words, but if you get it, if you've lived this, then you'll know what I mean. But there is, beneath every negative thought, beneath every attachment, there is a vulnerable, raw, naked part of your soul that just wants love or connection, or just needs to cry a little bit, or just has like something that it wants. And a lot of the time that is so subtle to like take accountability for and recognize that the ego is louder than that tiny, tiny, tiny voice that is still in love with life despite the pain it's been through. And I swear to God, like, every human being has this part in them. Every human being is still connected to all the beauty that you lived in your past, just because the forms that you connected with in the past have changed. The spirit of what was there is so real. So allow the past to die and allow the vulnerability of your open heart to shine in the world, and remind people that there's still love. There's still a chance. You can be brokenhearted and trusting and hopeful at the same time. At the same time, of course, take care of yourself, and sometimes you need to protect your little human and go inside your little cave, your little shell, and, be in silence, be with yourself, like protect yourself from the vulnerability, because the pain is too much sometimes, and that's very real, and that's very okay. It's part of being human. Animals kind of, they find hiding places in nature to go shake off the trauma of almost getting eaten, and then they hide in safety, and then they, wax in and out of like their landscape. And yeah. So, gosh, there's really so much here. And the reason I love sitting here and channeling these messages for you is because if I didn't do this, I feel like I would have nowhere to put my hope. Like, I would have nowhere to put my faith, talking out loud and processing these dynamics out loud holds me accountable and brings me like tremendous comfort and a tremendous sense of security. And, if I'm able to do this for myself, I want to share this with other people, because it's just me in my own room, in my own mind here. And if I can still connect with my heart, like through heartbreak and through trauma and through loss, I want to show you that you can do it too. Like, I want to give this to you so that you can use it and you can apply this wisdom and drink it in and then live it so that you can have your power and you can spread your joy and you can like live your God-given life, and you can walk with peace. You can walk in peace. That's what I want. That's what I want for myself. And this is how I'm trying to create it. And so I'm just sharing that process with you. I really don't know anything else but that. So let me just read over these points. The dream, I went over the dream, and there was another thing I wrote: break mental boundaries, don't get too comfy, do new, do novel. So even if you're not able to tap into, the wisdom in any given moment while you're going through a really hard time or negative feelings or whatever, and you feel stuck, go do something novel, go do something new. Literally, I heard this term once, and I think it's called radical disruption or radical interruption or something. But the concept is that when you find yourself cycling through a thought or even a behavior pattern that is not serving you and it's only dragging you down, I want to say what you have to do, but what you can do is literally put yourself in a brand new situation. And that can be as simple as like making a sound, like uttering a weird sound that you've never heard yourself do before and moving your body in a combination of ways that it's never moved. Because what that will do is that will trigger your awareness and your nervous system to pay attention to something that is not normal. So it will take the focus off of the habit that you're trying to break and direct it to something new and novel. And sometimes when you're trying to live a big, beautiful, vibrant, like childlike life, full of wonder, full of newness, available and heart open, like you need to break the pattern. And sometimes breaking the pattern is literally as simple as like taking a new route to your workplace, or deciding one day I'm gonna go to a new park and I'm gonna do something in that park that maybe you don't even necessarily want to do. Like, I'm just coming up with these random ideas. Like, I don't usually go out to parks and bring blankets and like have picnics with myself. That's something that I don't usually do. But if I was having a day and I wanted to just break a cycle, that's an idea that I could do. So it's like, it's so simple. Just think of things that you don't usually do and then do them. And if you are a person of habit and ritual or whatever, but you need that new, take your ritual, take your habit, and bring it to a different place. Try that. Like, if you like going to the same coffee shop every morning, go to a different one. If you like reading out of the same book every day, just like spend some time reading from a new book. So break the pattern, break the habit, put yourself out to change. And then, stay connected with your heart, with your body. Do whatever you need to do to like stay in your heart, stay in your body. And sometimes it will feel like a fight, but I promise you it's going to be worth it. I pretty much covered all the points. So I didn't actually read any tarot for this, but I am going to make a new video. So check that out right after this if you want some practical advice for how to actually apply the wisdom that I've shared with you in this video through your life, through just practical advice. So and I do offer personal readings. So if you would like one, please send me a message. Tarot readings, intuitive tarot readings. And I also have monthly deep dive general collective readings on my Patreon, Aaliyah Tamar Art and Tarot. And I also offer monthly subscription for individual readings. The individual readings are $8 and the monthly readings are $6. So check it out and message me if you're interested. And thanks so much for being here. Maybe I'll see you in the reading.